From the Foundation Studio right here on Biloxi's Back Bay, I want to welcome you to Super Talk Outdoors, where we celebrate every single Monday at lunchtime the world-class outdoors for the state of Mississippi. Thank you for joining us on the powerful Super Talk Mississippi Radio Network. But if you're watching us on the Super Talk TV at C Spire TV or Facebook or YouTube or your favorite podcast, it's October the 31st, 2022. Happy Halloween. I hope you have a great Halloween celebration tonight. I'm so pleased to be here, by the way, in this studio. We talk about it every week that we're bringing you Super Talk Outdoors from the Foundation Studio. My team and I are honored to be here. The Foundation, which is actually officially known as the Foundation for Mississippi Wildlife Fisheries and Parks, are not to be confused with the Department of Wildlife Fisheries and Parks, but they were formed back in 2003, about 20 years ago, just almost 20 years ago. It's a group of dedicated volunteers who form what is called the Foundation Board, and they actually do work closely with the Department of Wildlife Fisheries and Parks to help provide independent financial support for a large range of things that can help ensure the state's long-term enjoyment of the outdoors. They also will occasionally fund things that are not inside the Mississippi Department of Wildlife Fisheries and Parks. And as you've heard me talk about here on Super Talk Outdoors, they will tackle an issue from time to time. And when they do, they are very serious about it. Like, for example, the recent passage of the Mississippi Outdoor Stewardship Trust Fund. What I would say about their involvement in that effort, major league outdoor leaders in this great state. That is for sure. Hey, listen, the fishing continues to be great here in coastal Mississippi. Fishing reports that I'm getting from all across the coast are incredible. And across the state, hunters are literally worn out from doing the rain dance. Believe me, I've gotten so many notes from hunters. And we finally got rain. At the 3 farms that I lease up in the Mississippi Delta, we got more than an inch of rain at each of them, finally. My team at Super Talk Outdoors did a post over the weekend. Here's the post. Mississippi got some rain. This is in the Mississippi Delta, and the particular graphic they posted was 1.55 inches. Can we get a hallelujah? In food plots across Mississippi, as Ricky says weekly, the capital of the outdoors in America, you can almost hear the grounds quenching its thirst, and Gene Kelly singing, "I'm singing in the rain, just singing in the rain. What a glorious feeling. I'm happy again. Cheers to germinating seeds." That was the post. And listen, thousands of people interacted with that post, which tells me there are a lot of outdoorsmen and women across this state that had been praying for some rain. Incidentally, about 40, like I said, thousands of people interacted with that post. But, we get a lot of really good data from Facebook, when you look at who is engaged. 57.7% are men, but 42.3% are women. So there are a lot of women who are really interested in the outdoors. What's really interesting, though, is the age, if you look 25 to 35, 34, 35 to 45 and on up to 65, you see a nice, equal amount of people across all the age groups. So I don't care if you're young or old, people just love the outdoors. So listen, if you're not engaged on the Super Talk Outdoors Facebook page, I really want to encourage you to do so. People reached on that website or that Facebook page is up 218%, or around 12,000. Engagement's up 160%. So people love engaging around the outdoors. You'll find our shows there, and you'll also find some other content related to the outdoors. So you'll be glad you did. So like our page, we'd really appreciate it. Hey, listen, in the second half of the show, we're going to talk about fall fishing across the great state of Mississippi with Ryan Jones. He's a fisheries coordinator for the Mississippi Department of Wildlife Fisheries and Parks. And in the first segment, we're going to take a bit of a diversion away from sort of our usual topics and spend a couple of segments with my dear friend, the singer-songwriter Steve Azar. He's been on the show before, someone I really enjoy spending time with. He's the music and cultural ambassador for the state of Mississippi. He hosts in a Mississippi Minute on Super Talk Mississippi Media. He also wrote the theme song to Super Talk Outdoors, and it is now the state song for the state of Mississippi, One Mississippi. Anyway, welcome back to Super Talk Outdoors, my friend Steve.
What's going on? I miss you guys. I was wondering when we were going to get back on the horn together, so it's always an honor And I'm always grateful to see you guys. Hey, Kyle, good to see both of y'all.
So look, I want to we'll come back and talk a little bit about your show on SuperTalk in a Mississippi Minute. You've had some terrific guests. In fact, recently spent some time with world-renowned fisherman Bill Dance. What he did to sort of revolutionize outdoors TV is really important. We'll talk a little bit about that. But I'm very curious, actually, coming back to your song "One Mississippi." As you travel now, Steve, and you have these opportunities through your Mockingbird Songwriters Festivals or the work that you do in nonprofit work and charity work across the United States or in your concerts. Do people want to talk about One Mississippi? Are they aware that you're the man now?
You know, I make sure that they know it, that I'm aware. I'd rather introduce me as the author of the state song of Mississippi than anything. But, you know, it's been interesting. I played it in Arkansas. I played it in an intimate setting, South Dakota, Denver, all standing ovations.
Really?
Now, I don't understand it because I'm thinking like, because I give them a little grief about, we're the best and all that. So I try to turn it into a lighthearted thing. But when I play it, they just go crazy. And I'm going like, this is interesting because I really think that they depict it. And also, I've been writing about home. And during my show, you get a lot of Mississippi. You get a lot of it. So I'm saturating the night with songs that I've written throughout my life, that represent who we are and the feelings I had growing up. And I take you to Mississippi. That's what I do. But I think it's sort of now, it's like the icing on the cake or the cherry on top. I didn't have the umbrella, I guess, to it all. And now that song to me, it just sort of, it's like a climactic moment in a show now. And I wait till later to do it. And I guess maybe that's the impact that it's making. But people get on their feet and it's really sincere. So that's awesome. Also, I love this. My son shot his first feature film, Strack, our son. So very inspired from 15 when we moved him here to the time he went to Chapman to film school. Had a lot of offers to go to different film schools. Had been doing it his whole life, right? We knew this is what he was going to do, but his first feature came and it was made in the Delta. So there were a lot of LA people here for 3 months. COVID happened. Post-production was a mess. It finally got finished and it was just premiered at the Newport Beach Film Festival, which is one of the bigger ones. In fact, they had to turn down some other festivals to premiere it there. And I love some of the actors. So one of the actors in Stranger Things now is lead through all this since it. Excuse me, I'm sorry, it's early for me. The other is in the Nancy Drew series, and one is in the Dahmer series. Well, the girl that's in the Nancy Drew series is an African-American actress, and she said when she saw the script, she wanted to do it. It was so years ahead of this 24-year-old kid, my son's an old soul, so he's always been way ahead when it's writing and a lot smarter and more intellect. You put him and me on, you're going like, Steve, you're really dumb, but the truth is she talked about how she was afraid to come here, but she was intrigued and the script was so great. She came here and she said, I have never been so wrong about a place. The land, which he farmed a lot in the cornfields that were high and on the lakes and the ponds, and there was fishing and all this stuff going on. There was catfish in the part of all this whole culture that we have down here. The river sunsets, all that was part of this movie. And she said that she can't wait to come back and that the people were the nicest. She said is a total misrepresentation her whole life of what she thought of our place because of sometimes the word gets out. Now, you and I live here and we all live here. And so until I left and heard people say it, I was very offended, first of all. So, second of all, I never understood it. Third of all, I still don't understand it. So, but when I hear somebody now, I can take somebody saying why. But for a long time, I never understood what anybody was talking about because we lived here our whole lives and I didn't feel that way,
Yeah.
So anyway, but it was great to see that. And, it was our precious land and everything that your show represents was seen in a glorious way on the big screen in California. So I was really proud of our son. But you can't leave the great outdoors in Mississippi. It goes everywhere.
You can't. Let me tell you what, man. That's a great segue when we come back on the other side. It's interesting that your song and your travels create a tremendous opportunity for you in your role as the ambassador for music and culture for the state to truly be an ambassador, to really, sell the wares of this state in a very positive way. It's cool that your son now is doing that in his way. I think that's really neat. I think Something in the Water, the documentary you guys did, is a great example of that. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation here on Super Talk Outdoors with Steve Azar.
Leading the conversation on Mississippi's outdoors. It's Super Talk Outdoors with Ricky Matthews on Super Talk Mississippi.
Welcome back to Super Talk Outdoors. I have my dear friend, singer-songwriter Steve Azar, the guy who wrote the theme song for Super Talk Outdoors and the state song for the state of Mississippi, One Mississippi. Steve, I loved that story, and I'm really proud of you and your son for, kind of pushing the best parts of Mississippi forward. But, the outdoors is the ultimate equalizer. I said at the beginning when we first launched this show a year ago that when you're in the outdoors, it doesn't matter what politics you practice. That's the one time when we can put all that other stuff aside. It doesn't matter what's on social media. It doesn't matter the division in the world and the polarization that we all come in contact with on a regular basis. It's the one time when we can go out and join hands together and really enjoy it. And really, when you're in the outdoors, when you're sitting like so all these friends that you have that come back to the Delta, some of them from the coast and some of them from all over America that come to the Delta to go hunting. It's when they come and join hands and really get to see what you were just talking about, that what is in the heart and soul of Mississippians. It's truly, we are good people and we draw people here. That's one of the reasons why when you and I spend time with Craig Ray, he always reminds us that what keeps people coming back to Mississippi is us. It's the people of Mississippi, Yeah. And there is a misperception about Mississippi. I work hard every chance I get to try to turn that around. We've had our challenges. No one argues that. We've got our history as well. But the reality is when you sit down with Mississippians today, especially in the outdoors, what you see is that they're good people, and it makes a difference, doesn't it?
Well, it does, and the people are. I'm telling you, it's the most unique place, and I get to experience that when we put on our Mockingbird Songwriters Music Festival. All our friends that you've met now coming to the festival the last couple of years on the farm, they can't wait to come back, and they're bringing more friends. So I'll figure that out. But the Delta Soul, our celebrity charity event, which you haven't been to yet, and I wish you guys would come. They come in for a week now, and the thing's 3 days as it is. Most charity events are 2 days. Monday, you get in on Sunday, you leave home on Tuesday because you can get golf for free and all that. But the benefit of being down here is, my hometown our country club will give us the weekend. They allow us to have that without having to wait. Oh, you got to do it on Monday because that's the cheapest day for us. The bottom line is, proof is in the folks that have come here and that want to keep coming, and now they all want to come before I'm inviting them, which I love, And one of my good friends, Reggie Smith, great baseball player, he tries to come in for at least a week, and he goes fishing with my buddy Johnny McWright, who owns Delta Ag down here, and they go to their camp we're close to where you are, up in Carrollton area.
Yeah.
They go up there and they go fishing before he goes back to Los Angeles to do his baseball thing. He has to do it. And I just think that's credit to not only our outdoors, but also the people. If you match and you put those two dots, our people and our beautiful terrain together, it's over. So,
hey, Steve, you've done a great job though in your music of capturing the essence of Mississippi. All these songs named after Mississippi towns and capturing the essence of this great state. In fact, I have. Is it called the Mississippi Reunion? I'm trying to remember the name of that one.
Mississippi Reunion.
Yeah, that particular CD is actually in my truck as I speak.
Great idea, by the way.
Say it again?
It was Craig's idea.
Yeah. So here's the interesting thing. I'll be in the truck, and my friends have gotten so used to hearing it. They'll say, put Steve Azar on, and we'll turn the CD on, and that's what we listen to while we're driving through the Delta. It's special music, man, and it really speaks to your core, doesn't it?
Well, I grew up a huge Springsteen fan, a Seeger fan, which I was fortunate enough to spend 8, 9 months on the road with Bob later in my life. And then Mellencamp, you knew where they were from, right? John Denver. So they took you to this place, but yet they made music that was appealing to the masses. So for me, I always wanted that to be Mississippi for me. But it took a long time to get it right. You know what I mean? And it just took many years for me to understand how to articulate it and say it. It's funny how when you're living in the situation, sometimes you're not able to until you move on and come back. You know, a song, to me, a song writes itself. One Mississippi wrote itself after the inspiration of leaving the governor and heading down to Mississippi, a Mississippi highway. And before I got home, it was all in my head. So I think that songwriters say that it's called get in the room. You got to write the song in the room. A lot of times I've written my song from Jackson to Greenville. Indianola, I wrote it from Jackson to Greenville. You get in the car and you start making your way down these incredible highways, and you see our agriculture at all stages. You know, it's always inspiring. You see our lakes and our streams and our river.
Hey, but listen, I tell you, thinking about all those special songs of your more recent music, your collaboration with Cedric Burnside on Coldwater was just in a way, it was kind of the anthem of the pandemic, and special song, wasn't it? I hope you guys collaborate some more.
Well, he just won his first Grammy. So
I know.
I don't know. I'm so proud of him. He'd been up for 2 others, but he ran into Bobby Rush, who long overdue. So the good news is he's representing really well now. And I told him, I said, maybe I was a little bit of your good luck charm because you did Coldwater and then you won a Grammy. I don't know. But anyway, no, he's gold. And I was blessed to have him on that record. And he made to me, as a songwriter, you could have taken me off the record. He made it. He was so good.
It was an awesome collaboration. Of course, you mentioned the Grammy, and we would be remiss not to mention in that same sentence Kingfish and what the attention he's brought to this great state.
I was about to say that as well. Yeah.
What a great state. So you had Bill Dance on your show. That had to have been fun.
Well, we were doing one show to promote the big catfish deal they were having on the Mississippi from Helena to Greenville, right? To Memphis to Greenville. And I learned a lot about fishing. The water's so low, it's awful on the river. It's awful. My pond, I have nothing. Fish are gone. There's nothing there. And so you're talking about praying for rain. We've been praying for rain, and it was good to have it the other day, but we need a lot more. But he talked about how for catfishing is better, or for fishing in general, because the fish go to one place, that you've eliminated a lot of the river. So we were supposed to be promoting that. And next thing you know, we're talking about everything else. Next thing you know, I have 2 shows, and I could have had 3. I mean, he was the best. So I grew up a big fan of his. My oldest brother, Joe, he was a huge fisherman, big hunter, and had the boat and all the guns and everything growing up. He was the guy. And he would take me and all that growing up. He was 5 or 6 years older than me. So enough for me to really enjoy my big brothers, both of them. But he really was eating up with it, and he hooked us on Bill. So we would watch it on Saturdays. I'd be wanting to watch something else, and he was going, no. With back in the one TV days, he's a lot bigger. We had to watch him, and then I fell in love with Bill Dance.
Yes, it's amazing that you bring up his name, and I don't know, even young people have come in contact with Bill because he's kind of ubiquitous out there in outdoors TV. But he's such a genuine, authentic person, and I bet he had some stories to tell, huh?
You think we could get him a new hat?
We need to get him a new hat.
Send him something different.
maybe one of look at your cool hat for people who aren't watching on Facebook or YouTube. I think that's your logo, right?
Yes, since I was a little boy, my doctor brother in Memphis, the one that everybody really loves. I was 12 years old, and I said, I need you to draw me a design, and he just drew it out of my initials. And that was it. It's how the best songs are written. They just kind of go fast.
you heard me mention that, it's a really interesting time of the year in the Delta. As there's a changing of the seasons, literally, as farmers finish their harvest, and all these hunters and outdoorsmen that come in from all over the place to lease farms and get back to their properties to plant food plots or whatever they're doing. A lot of great duck hunting in your part of the country. You see it. You can go downtown and just feel it on a weekend, can't you?
Oh my! Are you kidding? First of all, everybody's gone. I mean, they're gone. They're just disappeared. Second of all, when you do see them, there's all blaze orange, getting ready for blaze orange and camouflage. And then third, so it's like they go into their coat of armor right around this time, and they wear it for 3 months. That's their uniform. And but my buddy the other day is building a place on the Mississippi River, and his hunting club, and they're having a pig epidemic, a wild hog epidemic.
Right.
And so, man, he had caught all the, God. And I said, man, we got to cook one. So we're going to wait a little while longer, but we're going to grab one and cook one in the winter. So once his place is built.
Yeah, you love to cook. I got to remember, we got to get on your schedule, get you to the camp, and we're going to cook and enjoy some company. You'd love the guys that I hunt with. A lot of family.
I've met a lot of those guys. I love them.
Yeah. So, but you love to cook, don't you?
Like you won't believe. So if you kill it, I'll cook it.
Good.
Or catch it, I'll cook it.
That sounds good. Hey, listen, Steve, it's been a pleasure to catch up with you, my friend.
I love you, brother. Thank you so much.
All the best, man. All the best. I look forward to seeing your son's film. This has been Steve Azar. Hey, when we come back, we'll have Ryan Jones, who's a fisheries coordinator for the Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. See you after this break. One Mississippi. There it is, that beautiful theme song to Super Talk Outdoors by my friend Steve Azar. I love spending time with Steve. He literally is an ambassador for the state as he travels across the United States. One of the things he spends a lot of time doing, I sort of mentioned it a little bit, but he goes to charity events all across the country, volunteers his time to help others raise money, and he's very dedicated to that. He's done that for many, many, many years. And when he has a chance to do that, when he does that, or whether his band is doing a concert somewhere, or whether he's doing his songwriters festival, he just represents the state so wonderfully. And we're really lucky to have him as an ambassador, and I'm lucky to have him as a friend. That is for sure. If you haven't heard his show on SuperTalk Mississippi Media in a Mississippi Minute, I really encourage you to take a listen. It's really, really good. Okay, now let's shift gears and move over to my friend Ryan Jones. He's a fisheries coordinator for the Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. I love doing some research on this guy because he is a dedicated fisheries biologist. He was in 2018, he was Fisheries Biologist of the Year. But he loves the outdoors. So we're going to have a wide-ranging conversation today with Ryan. How you doing, my friend?
Doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. So where are you sitting right now?
I'm in the conference room at headquarters.
And headquarters for you guys are involved. You're involved across the state, but the central zone is your main area of responsibility, correct?
That it has been for the last 9 years. I just recently took a job as a coordinator, so I'm kind of responsible for coordinating the technical staff statewide now.
Well, good.
Regional fisheries biologists and hatchery managers. So still trying to wrap my arms around that.
Well, I'm not surprised to hear, I say on this show every single week that Mississippi is the capital of the outdoors in America. I think when you add it all together, all the incredible pieces, including coastal Mississippi fishing, which is some of the best in the country, we're the capital of the outdoors. And I know the work that you guys do on lakes and reservoirs and pond management, even do some work monitoring the Mississippi River. It's incredibly important to the overall offering that we have, and it's special. And we're going to come back to that here in just a second. In fact, I want to talk to you about water levels. We'll also talk about that coming up here real soon. But one of the things I discovered about you is that in 2009, December the 9th, 2009, you killed a 200-pound, really nice 6.5-year-old 11-point deer at Panther Swamp. That had to have been a big time experience right there.
That's unbelievable. I love that forest. There's just something about it. It's unique, you know. Really, Delta National, that whole just bottomland forest in the Delta. I'm real intrigued. I love going out there. You never know what you're going to see. And it's a wild kind of feel out there, you know. So yeah,
and you have to draw, right?
You do have to. Well, it's bow only all season except for some draws. And I was fortunate enough to receive another one this year, but it's been a long time since I actually got that draw. So excited about that. Me and my brother are going to go do a little hunting in December.
Well, tell me, how does that work? How does the draw work? And I mean, you had consecutive years where you didn't succeed. How does the draw work for Panther Swamp?
Okay, so it's a National Wildlife Refuge, so it is U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. So you have to go. I mean, it's online. You know, it's pretty easy. Just create an account and just you have to get your permit to put in. And once you get a permit, then you can just kind of select the draws that you want to put in for.
Yeah. Well, look, that deer from 2009 was a beautiful deer. You know, there's still some, whether you're hunting in that case, the National Fish and National Fish and Wildlife. Is that what you said? Is that how you said it?
Yeah, U.S. Fish and Wildlife. So it's
U.S.
federal.
Fish and Wildlife.
You know, whereas we're
or
state.
when you're doing the many public opportunities we have in Mississippi, there are some amazing deer to be had, aren't there?
Absolutely. I mean, that place, you know, that it's a spot. I'd actually killed another deer in there probably about 300 yards from there back in 2015. It's just a great spot with a lot of real tight, you know, habitat, and then it's got some kind of 50-50 cover, you know, where there's some open spaces and palmetto thicket kind of stuff, you know, and those deer just love that habitat. There's a slough nearby, and all they want to eat in there. But I mean, when I killed that deer, in fact, I got so lucky because there was this huge thick brush in front of me, and there was one hole in it, one hole that I could see through to the other side. And that buck was chasing a doe, and that doe came in and stopped right there in that hole. And I put my iron sights up on the doe, and the buck came right back behind her and stopped. And I just pulled up and shot him right there in the hole. I mean, you know, if he would have been anywhere else, wouldn't have got him, you know. So, I mean, there's so much luck goes into that. It's unbelievable.
Got to be in the right place at the right time. But when you're describing the palmetto bushes, it made me think of a place on my main farm where it's a slight incline that eventually gets down to look a little pond that actually still has some water, and thanks to some beavers. But there's always a big deer in that area, man. They just love those palmetto bushes. They love, you know, they're going to be close to water this time of year. This year especially, they're going to be closer to water. But something about that kind of arrangement just draws them in, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I don't know. It's just ground cover. You know, they feel safe in it.
Yeah, the picture that was posted, you can actually see the palmetto bushes in the background. In fact, if you guys listening to the show today want to see it, just go do a search for Ryan Jones and Panther Swamp, and it will pop up. And it's just a beautiful deer and those classic palmetto bushes in the background. Where did your love of the outdoors come from, Ryan?
Man, I grew up right here in Northeast Jackson, went to McLeod Elementary, there off Old Canton. And, you know, so I grew up running banks of the Pearl River, you know, barefooted. You know, wasn't allergic to poison ivy when I was younger, so it worked out. I just, you know, full speed ahead. And then kind of moved out toward the reservoir, went to Northwest Rankin, and spent a lot of time catfishing and bass fishing on the Ross Barnett Reservoir. And sometimes, you know, I'd go out there when I was in high school. I'd go out there and at night with a flashlight, and I'd find all kinds of stuff, you know, on the shoreline that I never had seen before. And I guess that just kind of intrigued me. What else is out there? What else is beneath the surface, you know? And
it gets in your bones. First of all, it's in your DNA to begin with, but there's just that kind of describes me too. I was raised near bayous, and we couldn't explore enough, man. I mean, either by foot and barefooted was more often than not. It's funny now looking back on it now, because I can't even imagine going in that terrain barefooted. but I'm assuming that just the calyxes on the bottom of our foot just protected our feet.
I mean, I remember as a kid,
Yeah.
I used to put them on the hot pavement. You know what I'm saying? Put my bare feet on the hot pavement to make sure I had that pad, a good pad. You know.
That's so funny.
That's how we used to do things. Kids like that, you know, they don't make them. You know, kids don't do that anymore.
No, but you know, I bet, gosh, I just think to so many people listening to this show today, they hear you say that and they're like, man, I've been there. I know exactly what you're talking about.
That's right.
I remember going way further than my mom and dad said I could go. Just because
I mean, I have 3 boys now. I can't even imagine, if, you know, letting them do what I
know.
I was all over the place in the woods.
I tell my friends that it's a sign that there is a God, that there was divine intervention throughout the entire, you know, early life of Ricky Matthews. Clearly divine intervention.
Yeah, somebody.
But I never did let my sons do it, nor did I let my I let my grandkids now as they get older. Let them do it.
It's unfortunate.
But you know what? We should, because the reality is that kept you out of trouble, didn't it?
It did for sure.
And just that love of the outdoors. What made you decide you wanted to get into, you know, literally make a career out of the outdoors?
Yeah, I guess, you know, I really want to make sure that my kids and y'all's kids, everybody's kids, has the same opportunities that I was afforded. You know, that was a big thing for me. So, I mean, I really just appreciate the natural resources of the state of Mississippi, you know, so I want to protect them, conserve them, enhance them, make sure that, you know, the future generations have, you know, what I had. You know?
It's all about for our kids and our kids' kids. That is for sure. And I think Mississippi has done a terrific job. We're getting smarter, you know, over the years. We've gotten better at conservation and, you know, management in so many different ways. And listen, one of the great things about this show is I often get an opportunity to talk to people like you, Ryan. So many dedicated people that you work around. It's literally people have dedicated their lives to this cause, haven't they?
That's right. Absolutely. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like you said, it's kind of in the blood, you know. I mean, if it's something that you believe in, you know, you want to fight your whole life trying to protect it and enhance it. And it's not work, you know, it doesn't feel like work when you get up to go. I don't love being in this office, you know what I'm saying? I want to be in the field more than anything. So that's kind of my new task is coming to grips with having to be in this office a little bit more than I have been over the last 9 years.
I saw a quote that I really related to recently. It said that if you find something in work that you love, you will have discovered the fountain of youth. I just love the way that's said, and that's true. I mean, I feel that way about this show. I know you feel that way about what you're doing. Hey, when we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with Ryan Jones, who's the fisheries coordinator for the Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. I want to see what's on his mind these days. I want to talk about the low water levels across the state and how that might concern them. We'll see after this break.
Till I'm dead and gone, just carry on. I'll carry on.
We live in one of the best places in America to enjoy the outdoors. So let's talk about it. It's Super Talk Outdoors with Ricky Matthews on Super Talk Mississippi.
Welcome back to Super Talk Outdoors. I have my friend Ryan Jones. He's a fisheries coordinator for the Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. In fact, he was the fisheries biologist of the year in 2018. He worked in the central area for the past 9 years, but more recently he's involved in coordination of fisheries across the state. So he's got some big responsibilities. You know, I've talked on this show a lot about how people are worn out from doing the rain dance. We finally got some good rain this past week. In fact, at the 3 farms that I lease, we got between 1 and 1.5 inches of rain. I know that's not nearly enough, but if you've got food plots that are starving, seeds waiting to get fertilized, waiting to get germinated, that was a good rain for that purpose. But I'm looking around. You know, the Oxbow lakes that we're on and 2 of our farms are doing fairly well, but the water's really, really low. I have a 100-acre cypress lake on one of the farms, and it is dry as a bone except for a little canal that goes around the outside of it. There are other areas where ponds are dry as a bone. You're seeing that across the state, though, aren't you?
Absolutely. I mean, most private landowners are dealing with that in their ponds. And then, of course, we got the river level super low as well.
Yeah, the river levels. I mean, it's unbelievable. For example, if you're trying to transport coal or chemical products or energy products, man, it's tough. It's tough what they're dealing with over there right now.
That's
so
right.
Let's take an oxbow lake, for example. When you see an oxbow lake that's getting low, what as a fisheries biologist, what really concerns you?
So, I mean, those fish are used to a little bit of stress late summer. The river typically comes out of it for a little while, and normally it's okay. What we look at for the most part is how long does the river stay out, because if it gets super low, but is actually able to get up and bring flush water, new water back in, and help out that water quality, then it's not a big deal how low the river gets. But if it stays out for a long time, those oxbows tend to dry up, and you end up having like a high biological oxygen demand, which sport fish, bass, brim, crappie are the first ones to be affected by that. And then you got your gar and your catfish that can deal with it, and they end up surviving. And so then, when the water comes back up, the bass, brim, and crappie have to kind of fight against a whole nother community of fish that were able to survive. And so that's what happens with those oxbows. A lot of times they're super cyclical, so we'll have the good water for a few years. We'll start growing a good fish population. They'll get good, and then we'll have some drought, and you'll see a little drop off. And that's just kind of the way it is. They always want to cycle like that. That's just part of it.
How does this drought compare? How does this drought compare to what you've seen in the past?
I mean, we had one similar. If you were to like print off last 10 years, it does this all the time. People just aren't paying attention. It's just a little bit. It's just super low in the river, but it comes out of the oxbows before it ever gets to that level in the river. So the oxbows are not really affected by exactly how low the river is. It's just how long does it stay out?
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. So you're used to, like, from farms and private land all across the state where they've literally dried up. I guess you're just used to needing to replenish those with fish on a pretty regular basis.
Well, typically, those fish populations are they can handle a lot of stress, a lot of times. Have you ever heard of a turnover event where maybe we had a lot of sun, it was super hot, and then we get like cold rain or something like that, a little overcast skies for a few days, you can end up having a turnover event where fish die like that. But oftentimes you don't get as much of that at this time of year, because now that the water has cooled off, oxygen actually dissolves easier in water as it cools, and so it becomes less and less stressful, even though the water level is lower.
Yeah.
Those two sections go ahead and mix in a small impoundment, and then you have oxygen. So at the end of the day, it'll get replenished in the fall, and when there's a small amount of mortality in a fish population, oftentimes it can be better for the future, just because you're reducing a little bit of the density, and then moving forward, there's more to eat for the fish who did survive, and they can do a lot better.
Nature is an amazingly resilient thing, isn't it?
It is.
It's so cool. Hey, listen, when we get you back, we'll have you back soon.
Sounds
I
good.
want to talk more about the great fishing that exists across this state, the records that are made across this state, and why the freshwater story, as part of this overall story of Mississippi being the capital of the outdoors, is an incredibly important part of that overall story. So I look forward to having a conversation specifically about that the next time we visit. But for now, have a great day, my friend.
Sounds good, man. I enjoyed it.
Yes, yeah, you bet. This has been Ryan Jones, a fisheries coordinator for the Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. Have a great day. Stay safe when you're in the outdoors, and we'll see you next Monday. God bless you.